Hello everyone, and today we are going to be taking a look at a cheap £400 gaming PC. Now what you're looking at is a pre-built £400 gaming PC. Don't worry, that's not the PC that we're going to show you. The reason why we're showing you this is the kind of PC that you can get for £400. It's £399.98. This is the kind of off-the-shelf PC that you can get for around £400. It has an AMD A8 7650K at 3.3 gigahertz. It has 8 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. It does not have a GPU though. It has integrated graphics. Again, you'll see here 3.3 gigahertz. I think it's a quad core. Is it quad? Yeah, the A8s are. Doesn't say how many cores it has. I don't know the AMD A series ones. Doesn't say what it is. It has an APU. It's got onboard integrated Radeon R7 graphics. It has Windows 10. The PC build we're going to show you doesn't include the OS. It does have an SSD though, and the PC build we're going to show you doesn't have it. It does have 8 gigabytes of DDR3, 1600 megahertz. It's only one socket. Okay, 2 DIMM sockets, 1 used. Not great. Again, it's not going to run in dual channel. So this is what you can get off the shelf. So now we're going to show you what you can build yourself for the same money. And I guarantee you the PC we build for the same money will kick its arse. You have to have a laugh at this though. This is funny. Who's going to buy that PC and that 4K monitor? Are you going to buy this 4K monitor which costs more than the PC? I mean, who's going to pay that? The 4K G-Sync monitor, which is £500. Yeah, I'm going to pair that with a £400 PC with integrated graphics. I'm really that stupid, e-buyer. Right, so we are going to start right now with the CPU, which is the Intel Pentium G4560. It's 3.5 gigahertz. It is a dual core, 2 cores, 4 threads, dual core with hyper threading CPU. Again, this CPU really is an amazing CPU for the money. It costs £55, this CPU, and it's fairly decent. It's pretty close to an i5, an i3, should we say, i3 7100, and it is a Kaby Lake CPU as well, 3.5 gigahertz. Having the 2 cores and 4 threads, it may struggle in some games to hit 60 FPS, although 60 FPS ultra settings on this build is possible in some games, certainly, but not all games. This is 1080p, 30 FPS ultra settings. 1080p, 60 FPS medium settings. You might run into some CPU issues with this one, but generally it's so little money, this CPU, and the performance, the price to performance kills the i3 dead, because that's the only other real choice that you've got at this sort of budget end level. Right now, the Ryzen 3s, we haven't seen very much from them lately, so you know, maybe Ryzen 3 will come along and change things, but for now, the Pentium G4560 is the budget king for CPUs, really. The motherboard that we're going with is the Gigabyte GA250M DS3H Micro ATX LGA 1151 motherboard. It's the again, we've gone B250. Seems to be a decent sort of budget choice. The B250 chipset supports DDR4 RAM, unlike that eBuyer PC that you saw earlier, which was only DDR3 up to 2400 megahertz. It does it have 4 RAM slots? It does have 4 RAM slots. Look at the picture now. It does have 4 RAM slots. It's got everything you need, really. USB 3 headers. It's got onboard Ethernet. It's got SATA 6 gigabits a second, 6 gigabit per second ports. It's got, DDR4 up to 2400. It is a Kaby Lake motherboard as well, B250, Kaby Lake, LGA 1151 is the socket. Again, it will be compatible with the Pentium. You can also upgrade. You can upgrade to an i5 or an i7. It'll take them, again, as they are the same socket type. Although I wouldn't buy a K series because you're not going to be able to overclock it with that board. Moving on to the RAM, and we're looking at G-Skill Ripjaws 4 series, 8 gigabytes, two 4 gigabyte sticks, DDR4 2400 megahertz. Managed to get this £59 30 pence. I should point out that the motherboard was £65 and 68 pence, if you want to know that gigabyte motherboard. I forgot to say that there, but £59 and 30 pence. Quite expensive RAM these days. But that's not bad. DDR4 2100 megahertz was around the £60 mark. So to get 2400 for, under £60, again, it is the fastest RAM that the motherboard supports. I would suggest that you always try and get the fastest possible RAM that the motherboard supports. Again, it does help out, especially with a lower end CPU. It will certainly help it out in terms of performance. 2133 was not much cheaper, so you might as well spend that little bit extra. I mean, it was only about £2 more for between the cheapest 2133 megahertz and the cheapest 2400 megahertz. So get the faster one. Really, for storage, we're going for the Seagate Barracuda 3.5 inch, 7200 RPM, 1 terabyte drive, $37.99. We feature this in all of our builds. No SSD as we're on a budget. That is the one area where that eBuyer PC, that ZooStorm PC, off-the-shelf PC, does kind of fall down, as we are lacking an SSD, really. But for the money, I think it's better to put money into the sort of GPU and the processor. I think are a better place to invest our money rather than SSD speed. I mean, yes, it will make a difference, but it doesn't make a huge difference in gaming, really. It makes a difference in boot times, most of all. SSDs are lightning fast at boot times, but they don't really make a huge difference in gaming, generally. And the problem with SSDs is that they're just too low capacity at the moment. The cost per gigabyte just doesn't justify them. Again, games are huge these days. Average size of a sort of modern AAA game is around 30 to 50 gigabytes. We always mention GTA 5, which I think is the biggest game I own size-wise. It's 67 gigabytes the last time I installed it. I think Gears of War 4 is 90 gigabytes now with its additions. So yeah, you want the storage. You want those games. I mean, that's one of the biggest advantages of PC gaming, is the amount of games that you have available. And of course, you can get games cheap in Steam sales and GOG sales and whatever. So you want to have a lot of games. So having the capacity is generally outweighs the advantages of having the speed, because you're always going to be uninstalling and reinstalling games, and it's going to struggle. We'll move on to the graphics card. We have gone for the Zotac GTX 1050 Ti 4 gigabyte card, £122, £123, £122.99. Very good card for the money, I think. We could have went for the 1050. It's sort of younger brother. Only 2 gigabytes of VRAM. However, we did manage to squeeze a 1050 Ti into this build. Wherever possible, you're gonna go for the 1050 Ti. I would recommend. Okay. The extra 2 gigabytes of VRAM, it has some extra CUDA cores as well over the 1050. But the biggest advantage is, of course, that extra 2 gigabytes of VRAM there. Games are getting more VRAM intensive. Should do most games. 1080p, medium settings, medium to high, you'll get 60 FPS, or you can get 30 FPS at ultra settings. And it's good for the games that people play the most on PC. Games that people play the most are sort of less demanding titles. Games like League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO, World of Warcraft, etc. Play them. 1080p ultra settings, you will get more than 60 FPS in those games with that card. I would recommend it. For the power supply, we've gone for an EVGA 430 watt 80 plus ATX power supply, £32.88. 430 watts is enough for this system. The total power draw, or total estimated power draw, is 214 watts. The Pentium doesn't draw a huge amount of power. The GTX 1050 Ti is powered by the PCI Express slot. It's only a 75 watt. It only draws 75 watts. Doesn't require any external power connector. So you don't really need a massive power supply. £32, not too bad. For the case, we've gone for a Beattieus Nova ATX mid-tower case at £26.40. I should point out it's in white, in case you're concerned. I'll show you a picture of it anyway. I should point out that the case, you have plenty of choices. We basically had about £28 left over for the budget, and you had your choice of case, really, for that price. We just picked the Beattieus Nova ATX mid-tower case because it has everything you need. It's got 320mm is the maximum video card length. Yeah, the GTX 1050 Ti is nowhere near that long. It's got USB 3 front panel ports. It's got 2.5-inch bays. It's got 4 3.5-inch bays, 2.5-inch bays. So it's got plenty of things for SSDs and plenty of room for expansion should you choose to upgrade. It's got everything you need, essentially. So the total cost of this build is £400.06. Bear in mind, this is at the time of recording. Prices are subject to change on PC, so it might go up, it might go down. Obviously, this doesn't include the OS, but you can pick up a Windows 10 Pro key. I've seen them for as little as £15. So getting an OS is fairly cheap. We've not included the OS in the build. But there you go, a cheap £400 PC will outperform that that eBuyer PC that we saw earlier. Outperform it in every way. The GTX 1050 Ti versus integrated graphics. The GTX 1050 Ti will massively outperform that. Okay, outperform the PS4. Outperform the Xbox One. It won't really touch the PS4 Pro, really, or the Xbox Scorpio, the upcoming Xbox Scorpio, should we say. But it will outperform sort of base PS4 and base Xbox One. You can have, again, the choice of 1080p, 60 FPS, medium to high settings in most games, or you could max the settings and have 30 FPS. So the choice is up to you, really. You should get 30 to between. You probably struggle to hit 60 locked at ultra settings, but you might get between 30 and 45 roughly. But there you go. So that is a £400 PC. PC gaming does not have to be expensive. Realistically, it's not. You don't really need £1,000 or $1,000 PC to run the latest games at sort of console equivalent settings, or you can get better than console settings in the same frame rate. So you can either have console equivalent graphics with twice the frame rate, or console better than console settings with the same frame rate. But anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon, and goodbye.